I need to.
Yeah, you just need to click it. Just.
Oh.
Hey, everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today's guest is back by popular demand. She always does such fantastic cooking demonstrations, and she even provided a special link for you to easily get the recipes. Her name is Timaree Hagenburger, or the Professor Timaree Hagenburger, and she's going to be showing how to make appetizers for everyone, even if they're not vegan. Please welcome her back to the show. It's so nice to see you again.
Hello, I'm so excited. I can't believe it is December already. Whew, this year went by so fast.
I know. I can't believe it either.
It's amazing. And all of a sudden, we look at our calendar and we have many responsibilities, many fun things to do. You may have some more invitations to go to people's homes or to host parties. And we need to keep it easy because we want to focus on actually spending time with the people we care about. But at the same time, we want to make sure what we're eating is supporting our health and doesn't leave us with a stomach ache at the end of the night or maybe even halfway through. So today I am going to take my foodie bar way approach. So if you haven't seen me before, I have had the honor of being with Chef AJ many times. And I always talk about this idea of options, right? It's all about options and abundance. When some of you may be facing this holiday season, the first time being plant-based or being more plant-forward in what you're eating, and that idea can be a little daunting because you know how to prepare food, at least you did the way you used to eat. But now to think about, oh my goodness, how do I tackle this? There's so many rules, but it's not about rules. It's truly about abundance and options. And that is what I'm going to give you a taste of today. And we are going to focus on appetizers. However, just like with everything that I share, you can use it in different applications. So it doesn't have to be just appetizers. But we are going to start with the most important food, I believe, on the planet, one of the very most important, and that is beans. So legumes have been associated with longer lifespan and healthier lifespan across the globe. Greens, of course, are in there too, and I have some greens to include, but it's really important to think about foods that will help keep us satiated and will provide the protein and the fiber that we need to even to keep our gut in a really good way. We want to keep the microbiome healthy because if you've learned, it is associated with mood. And this can be a stressful time of year, and we really want to do everything we can to support mental health and social health and spiritual health, and eating plays a role in that too. So, Chef AJ, are you ready?
I am ready for you to rock and roll. It's so funny because I had Dr. Furman on earlier, and he said the same thing about beans.
See, this is a theme. So you'll hear different voices, even just in the plant-based world, but when you hear the same messages over and over again, it feels like, yeah, there's a lot of evidence behind it, and it works. The other thing with beans are they're so reasonable and they store incredibly well. So they're a great purchase to make. Now, let's do something with them because a lot of people think, oh, beans, they're so boring. Oh, no, I think I am changing my name to the Beanie Professor because I love beans. And we're going to use them today in 3 different dips. Now, I am calling this very loosely hummus party. However, I'm not even going to use garbanzo beans. Garbanzo beans are always an option for you, but I like to be about variety and showing you different things. So I'm going to make a Mediterranean spread to start, and I'm going to use a food processor for this. You also have other options always. So you could use a fork. You could use a traditional potato masher. You can choose to use one of these really cool small mashers, okay? You can use a mini chop. You could probably even use an immersion blender, so, or a fork. You have lots of options. And if you want a dip that is super creamy, that's when you go to a high power blender. That will give you the creamiest texture. But texture is very personal. People like different things, chunks, no chunks, kind of smooth, super smooth. So people can do it as they wish based on their preference. Okay, so we are going to start with a Mediterranean spread. And I have some amazing dippers to blow your mind after we go through these. So I'm very excited, lots to share. So I am starting with cannellini beans. So these are white kidney beans. And sometimes people think white has no nutrients, right? Isn't it all about color? White is a color. Think of cauliflower. I actually have some other dippers that are white that are also very helpful. So there's nothing wrong with white beans. You can use any white bean in this recipe. You could also use kidney beans. You could also use garbanzo beans. So we're going to start with cannellini beans. I just cook these in the Instant Pot in water, and then I like to freeze them so that I have them ready to rock and roll, as Chef AJ said. So I'm going with about 1.5 cups, which is the traditional, actually I'm going to keep this here, the traditional 1 can size. I don't want you to feel like if you don't make your own beans, then all bets are off. Absolutely not. I have canned beans because life happens. And so when I do buy the dry beans, I like to cook a big batch and freeze them. But you don't have to. You can use canned beans. If you're going to use canned beans, look for no salt added, or at the very least, low sodium. And most of the organic beans are automatically low sodium. I'm not exactly sure why they do that, but it's great. So those are typically the lower sodium varieties, and you get the organic with it. But it's fun to do them from scratch. The other thing that's nice about doing them from scratch, besides not adding any sodium, is that you can cook them to the degree that you wish. So I always overcook these just a little because I know I like to use them in creamy applications, so that I have full control over when I cook them. Okay, so in order for us to do Mediterranean, I need to do something quick. This is garlic, right? Obviously. And what I think about is always a mixture of fresh and, in this case, roasted. Fresh garlic is going to pack a punch. And it's important to know that it will get stronger in flavor the next day. So if you're making these dips ahead, which you totally can, then just know that if you put in a lot of fresh garlic, you're going to taste it. Now, what we want to do whenever we're using garlic and we're going to add any heat or acid, and the acid here is going to come from lemon juice, we want to crush it. This is definitely a Dr. Furman and a Dr. Greger thing, but we want to crush or mince it. I'm actually going to use a garlic press. And you know what I need? I'm going to turn this into my garbage bowl. We always need a garbage bowl. But I am going to crush this into a little dish and let it sit. I have 2 recipes that I'm going to use garlic in. And so I'm just going to go ahead and crush it. You can mince it. There's all kinds of little garlic machines, little ingenious. Some I've seen people use, and I think Chef AJ, you're the one that uses the little pull string.
Yeah, I love it. I have it from Tupperware, and it's just so convenient.
So cute. I saw that and thought, because I have this little gadget fetish, I want these little kitchen gadgets. But at some point, my husband's like, how many garlic things do you need? So we want to, if you're using a garlic press, you want to rinse it out right away because when it dries, it becomes a hassle to clean. So I just want to rinse that out. You can also, if you were in the middle of a cooking demo and didn't want to do that, you could put it in a bowl of water and that's fine. You just don't want it to dry out. Okay, so we can let that sit. So while it's sitting, I can tell you about roasted garlic. I love roasted garlic. And in my Foodie Bar Way of Life community, we do prep togethers. So we did a roasted garlic prep together where we just have a blast. Everybody turns on their Zoom, we're all prepping, and we did one with roasted garlic. I roasted 20 heads of garlic, and I did it in my air fryer. And then if you get to them quickly enough, they don't get super sticky, and you can pop them out of the skin. And then I wrap them in little pieces of parchment paper like Tootsie Rolls. And then I keep them in the freezer in a zip top bag. And so these then are ready for me. And I have gorgeous roasted garlic whenever I want some. So I'm going to put quite a few cloves. Yeah, I have a separate one for the next recipe. So I'm going to put them all in there. Okay, so we've got that. And then I'm going to use some fresh basil, and I've been growing this amazing basil for months in our backyard. I can't believe that it's still growing. It is actually amazing basil. But I am going to probably, the amounts on these, I give you guidance on the recipes, but it's completely based on taste preference. So I'll do just about that much, which I'm looking at a few tablespoons. Now, when we're going into the food processor, we don't have to chop things super tiny, but if you have something that you want to make sure is pretty small without going for a really smooth dip, like if you want some texture, then you're going to want to chop the items up a little bit. So I will put the basil in here. You can always put some basil on top as well. And then lemon. So my lemons, and I can't remember if I shared this last time I was with you, but I'm freezing whole lemons. I scrub them and then I can thaw them out. They take a little while to thaw out. And then I can zest them and they release liquid like nobody's business. It is amazing. I'm doing this with my limes and my lemons. And I ran out of frozen limes, so I have some fresh for a recipe later. But I am amazed by how easily they release liquid. Do you know, Chef AJ, how sometimes with limes, they don't even give you a tablespoon.
I know, they're stingy.
They are. They are. That sounds so funny. That's my Nona. They're stingy. Yes, they are. But when you freeze them, no way. You override the stinginess for sure. I'm going to grab another little bowl to do the lemon in because I know I'm going to get some seeds. Now, lemon seeds you can eat. We don't like to eat apple seeds, but we like to eat lemon seeds potentially if you wish. But they are bitter. So I usually try to take them out. Now, this is my super high-tech, very favorite citrus reamer. I've had the reamers that look like, I guess they're not really a reamer, citrus press that look like a garlic press. I've broken at least 3 of them. I don't know. I want every bit of juice, so I squeeze and then I break them. This, I have not broken. So, love it. It's my favorite. Now I like a lot of lemon, but again, this is completely up to you as far as how much you would like. And it's amazing how much juice I get out of these when I freeze them. I'm going to take a fork and just pull out the little seeds. So traditional hummus will have lemon in it. It typically has olive oil, which we're skipping. We don't do any oil, or I don't use any oil. And you can use parsley. I have parsley, but I'm going to use that for another recipe. But the garlic, okay, so there's our wonderful lemon juice. And then another ingredient that's very typical is tahini. And tahini is basically sesame seed butter. But in my experience, tahini is expensive and it gets hard. I can never use enough of it because I don't like using a lot. And so it ends up getting to be so hard. The oil's at the top. I have a knife in there trying to break it up. It's just a hassle. I don't want a hassle. So I keep sesame seeds in the freezer. And that's what I use because it's basically sesame seeds ground. Again, the amount that you would like to add is up to you. So I added about a tablespoon in there. And then we want to add more of this Mediterranean flavor. And you have lots of options. You have olives, if you wish, a little bit high on sodium. But again, if you're putting in just a small amount, or you reserve them for the topping. That's fun because then you taste it in every bite. So I'll add 2 little baby Kalamata olives to the dip itself, but we can also consider putting some on top because you want to get a lot of bang for your buck when you're using some of those ingredients. And then I'm using roasted red pepper. So we can roast them yourself or you can buy them jarred. Again, look at the ingredients and the sodium content, but you can adjust the amount that you like. So the only piece we're missing is the fresh garlic. So now I'm going to add a little bit of that fresh garlic. And I think we are ready to whir this up.
Hey, Timaree, Apple wants to know what food processor are you using because she's in the market for a new one.
Okay, this is the one. People laugh at me because it is Hamilton Beach 70740. That specific model, 70740. And I'm really specific about that because this is the one that I've had. I think the last time I bought one, 2015 maybe, I use it multiple times a week, sometimes multiple times a day. It is super light and it sounds obnoxious. It is so loud and screeching. I'm considering using earmuffs when I use it. You'd think it was just a piece of junk. It works amazing. It is easy to clean. I have other much more expensive and heavy food processors. This is my go-to. So I wish that I was sponsored by Hamilton Beach 70740, but I am not. Alas, it is excellent. And it is typically $40 or less. That's excellent price. Okay, are we ready?
Absolutely.
Okay, so now you're not going to hear me, so I'm not going to try to talk when Zoom has got me muted, but I'm going to be zipping. All right. This came out beautifully pink, gorgeous. Now you can, I can smell the garlic. Yeah, I mean, that was a whole head of roast garlic plus a clove of fresh. Woo! So we can stop right here, or you can blend it further. You can scrape down the sides. I see some, got a few sesame seeds on the side, little basil. I can move it down. Maybe I'll whir it one more time. It's all lines up. Easy. All right, so now I am going to put this in a bowl and whenever you use the food processor, you want to make sure that you put your finger up through the bottom so that the blade doesn't fall into the bowl or onto the cutting board. And then when you're ready to remove the blade, you just take it out. And then we can put the rest of this in here. Okay, so this smells amazingly garlicky. I can smell the basil. If only Zoom had smella, taste-a vision, we would be in. Now, I am a super scraper. I do not like to waste one little bit of food. So I will scrape and scrape and scrape. And it always, during cooking demos, it's like, okay, well, I'll be here for another 15 minutes scraping. No, I won't do that. But okay, so we've got that there. And then I am going to reuse the food processor. So I will rinse it real quick. But we don't have to worry about cross-contamination. It's amazing how much easier cooking in the kitchen and safer it is to go whole food plant-based. My students, my college students, when I was in California, I worried so much about them using raw eggs and chicken and, oh my gosh, it's just, they were always, they always had stomach aches and they would get food poisoning, and it's like, oh my goodness. When we did food safety assignments, I said, now what are all the hazards with plant-based? Very short list, right? I mean, really, we do need to be concerned about how long we leave things out, but nothing like we had to deal with, oh my gosh, with animals. Okay, one dip down. Now we're going to go to simple, but so good. The last time I made this, I thought to myself, you know, I gotta spruce this up in some way. Oh no, it is excellent, and simple is excellent. So I am going to do a Southwestern, and I'm going to use a mini chopper just to show you. You can use different things. I don't love this. But it's just another option. I just don't think it does a fantastic job. However, we're gonna put some variety in here. So we're gonna do black beans. And again, you can change the beans that as you wish, okay? Black beans are amazing. The color is indicative of phytonutrients. So we can definitely feel good about that. So we wanna put these babies in here. Okay. Now with Southwestern, it's nice to use some salsa because it gives us the tomato, the onion, the garlic, the peppers, all in one shot. So your favorite salsa, there are many that are very low sodium. There's also recipes in my book, The Foodie Bar Way, for doing your own salsa, a roasted salsa, a fresh salsa, all kinds of options. So we're gonna put some salsa in, and we're gonna add also, I have a, let's see, scallions. So let's put in, I left these scallions whole because whenever I have a chance, I always like to remind people to make sure that when they clean their scallions, they're going all the way inside because there's dirt that will collect in there. Sometimes sand kind of like leaks. Leaks are very sandy, but a lot of people have gotten sick at Mexican restaurants when they don't really do a good job cleaning the scallions. And I've seen people just do this under the water. Oh no, that does not clean them. So you need to be a little more intentional. But I also, now for this, it's gonna chop it. but I like to make sure that when I am cutting scallions, that I cut them so that the pieces are nice and small. And you've seen me before where I like every bite to be a party, so I don't like big pieces of anything in my recipes. So it's important to me to just take a couple extra seconds to make sure things are chopped well. Okay, so we're gonna do the scallions in there. And I have some on the side that we can put on top as well. And then we have fresh cilantro. Now, if you are not a fan of cilantro, leave it out. Use parsley. You can experiment with other different herbs. We like to have greens in our food. So I'm sure Dr. Furman talked about that. Greens and beans, mushrooms, onions, garlic, right? Berries, nuts, seeds, the G-bombs. But I happen to enjoy cilantro, so I'm gonna put some in. And again, the amount is completely based on your preference. You can use cilantro stems and parsley stems. We end up throwing away a lot of goodness. Same thing with the scallions. Oh my goodness. I remember seeing recipes that would say green parts only or white parts only. No, no, no. You use the whole thing. Then we have some lime. So like I said, I have been in the habit of freezing these and them really giving a lot of juice. These are fresh. Now lime zest. Zest, you saw me zest the lemon. Lime zest is, as well as lemon zest, has been shown to help reduce our risk of skin cancer, just like it protects the fruit. But it can be very bitter, especially the lime. So I would not zest this whole lime for this amount. I just did maybe a quarter to a half. And then now I'm going to squeeze it. Since we don't have any issues with seeds, then I don't have to do it over a bowl, although it may be a little bit easier for me, just logistics here. But this is a very juicy lime. Ooh. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna add half of the lime, the juice-wise, because I want, the salsa already had some liquid and we don't want it too thin, although I'll give you ideas if you get it too thin. So a few tablespoons of lime juice. Could you use lemon in here? Yes. Could you use orange? Yes. Could you use none? You could just use maybe some aquafaba or even veggie broth if you needed it, but you probably wouldn't because the salsa, you can just use more salsa. Okay, so we have the black beans, the salsa, the scallions, the cilantro, and the lime juice and zest. So now I'm gonna let it do its thing. All right, so it has chop, it considers one direction, and grind, which are the only two little buttons, and that's the other direction. So I kind of go back and forth. Okay, so I like this. Ooh, this looks good to me. Okay, so hopefully you can see that. And that was easy. Is there an easy button somewhere? Yes, this is easy. We don't have to make things more complicated just because we're hosting a party or going to a party. This would be a great option to bring with you because you can make it ahead. And I can move so you can see how nice and thick this is. Oh my gosh. So easy. If you have not made a dip like this, or you haven't made it in a while, don't let the short list of ingredients and simple process fool you. It is so good, and I'm going to be enjoying it all week. Okay, and that's a great texture right there, and it will firm up even a little more in the fridge. Okay, so let's put that one down, and I will just leave this here because I'm not going to use the mini chop again. I'll clean that after. Now let's talk about the third one. This is going to be fun. So I love different beans. I told you that. And one of my favorites is black-eyed peas. So I invented a little recipe here that will include some of my favorites. And I actually have this. Let me see. This is a fun ingredient in here. We'll see it when I add it. Maybe, I don't know, someone will be able to figure it out. Let's see. Any idea what this could be? Don't just say greens. What kind of greens? You'll have to let me know, Chef AJ, if anybody guesses. All right. Are you still with me?
Sorry, I was muted. Can you show me the greens again?
Yes.
I mean, I can't tell. They almost look like scallions from here. I can't really tell.
No, they're not scallions. Think black-eyed peas.
Okay.
Sweet potato.
I don't know what they are.
All right. Well, I'll have to make you wait a little longer.
Thank you.
Okay, so I cooked some black-eyed peas last night. So easy in the Instant Pot. 9 minutes. Let them natural release for 15 minutes. Ready to roll. Love black-eyed peas. I love their texture. So we have black-eyed peas in here. Then we're putting in a sweet potato. Yum. Now, we could do any type of sweet potato. We can do the Japanese sweet potato. This sweet potato is the orange flesh. We can do the purple Stoke sweet potato. No, that's going to change the color, of course, of your dip. But I called for about 1/3 of a cup, and this is a little more than that. But I'm going to put it all in there because I love it. Okay, so we're going to do sweet potato. And then we are going to add a chipotle. I want to go smoky on this. So I'm going to add a chipotle in adobo, which is basically a smoky jalapeno. Now, if you like spicy, then you leave in the ribs and the seeds. If you don't want spicy, then you scrape them out. Okay, so that is important. Now, you don't have to have any of this in there. If you like it really mild, then just use the roasted red pepper. Or you could even use some fresh red pepper. But if you like that, I like to layer flavors. And so if you like that smokiness, this is a little bit messy on fingers, but if you like that smokiness, the chipotle and adobo is great. And I just freeze the extra because they come in a can with way more than I can use for a recipe. And I also did something kind of fun is I had some shallots and I was roasting some of the dippers, and you may think roasted dippers hang in there. And so I decided to roast the shallots with it. So I'm going to put in one of these roasted shallots. onions get so sweet when you cook them, especially when you roast them. And that's just a little extra. It's not necessary. Now, I want to add sesame seed, and I'm doing a mixture of sesame seeds and hemp hearts. So again, variety. We're always trying to shoot for as many plants as possible to support our gut health. So anytime we get a chance, we're going to do that. Parsley. This is gorgeous Italian flat leaf parsley. I'm so excited. Sometimes at the markets, they have these puny little bunches. No, I want big bunches because I use them in my crazy salad mix. So we do those sometimes too in our prep together chop-in chats in the Foodie Bar Way of Life. But every week I put parsley in my salad mix. I just love it. And now I miss it when it's not in there. But I used to only use parsley for recipes, maybe 1 teaspoon or tablespoon of parsley, and then it would just kind of go to mush in the fridge, but no longer. So we've got some parsley. Oh, it smells so good. We'll keep some there for the topping. And I have a few other options to add some spice, smoke. So this is smoked paprika. So you can, again, add as much as you wish. I'm not going to measure, but I have measurements in there. And I also, we could add Italian seasoning easily to the Mediterranean. I think I actually call for that in the recipe. But I'm gonna add, for a source of saltiness, coconut aminos. They have a new, Trader Joe's has a new coconut amino, that smoky barbecue flavor. Have you seen that one, Jeff?
No, I haven't seen it in a barbecue flavor. What's it called?
Yeah.
Do you have it to show?
It is organic, smoky, barbecue flavored coconut aminos.
Wow, I
Trader
have not
Joe's.
seen that. I have to look for that. That's cool.
Yeah, it is. It's really cool. And for 100, it's 160 milligrams of sodium for a whole tablespoon.
Not
So,
bad.
no, not bad at all. So I am just gonna do a couple little squirts in there. If you don't have access to that, but you have access to liquid smoke, that's also an option. With my liquid smoke, I use one of these little eyedroppers, because it always seems to pour out so fast, and I only want a few drops. So that's why I have that little one on there. So I'm gonna put this here. So we have black-eyed peas in there. We have the chipotle, we have the sweet potato, we have the smoked paprika and the coconut aminos, the sesame seeds, the hemp seeds, the parsley. I'm gonna put in some lemon, another lemon here. Actually, you know, I call for lemon in the recipe, but since I have half a lime, let's use what I have instead of getting into another one. So I'm going to put in some lime juice. Lime goes very well with sweet potato and the black-eyed peas. Oh, this is going to be delicious. And our mystery greens. Did anybody come up with it? Mustard greens.
Somebody said okra.
No, I do have okra, but in the fridge. Mustard greens. Now, some people get really scared. They're like, mustard greens? Oh my goodness, they are delightful. And I'm actually going to show them to you in another application as soon as we get done with this dip. Okay, so I think we are ready to whir this up. This is my smoky, spicy Southern spread. Right, I'm gonna, now this, you can again adjust the thickness, whether you want it to be have more liquid in there, you can always add the aquafaba, a little vegetable broth, more citrus. I think we need garlic in here. Let's add a few cloves of roasted garlic. And let's add the rest of the fresh garlic. So a little more whirring it up.
Yeah, that's interesting that you're using fresh and roasted together.
Yes. And what that does is you know how we talked about letting that garlic sit? This actually, by adding the fresh garlic with the roasted, will reactivate the disease preventing properties of the roasted garlic as if it was fresh. It's a really cool tip. Okay, now I am so excited because I get to take some things out of the fridge that I have been preparing for everyone to see. Okay, but let me take this out first. Okay. So this one is very thick. So again, I want to be able to show you variety. And you may want to thin it. Oh my goodness, look at this. Oh, now it's going, I'm losing it. Okay, I'll fix that. But you can always make it thinner, obviously. If you get any of these dips too thin, call it a dressing and add some vinegar, some mustard. You can add a little more aquafaba or water or broth, and you have yourself, and maybe more citrus juice, you have yourself a delightful dressing. So everything can be fixed. Don't you worry, and everything can be enjoyed in a creative way. That doesn't have to be complicated. Okay, so this needs to get fixed here. Okay, so now I have put a little parsley on there, a little cilantro on there, and a little basil on that one. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is pull out, I do wanna show you one thing with the dippers, but I'm gonna pull them all out. And then we always have the little toppings that we can use. I wanted to do a few tomatoes. Well, you know how to do tomatoes. I'll just cut a few. The tomatoes I think would be great on top for the Mediterranean spread. And it's nice. So I envision this as a foodie bar, either in the fact that you do like a little bean dip or hummus dip showdown where you invite your guests to help you combine different ingredients to make different flavors. And so everybody's in the kitchen having fun. Or you make the dips and you bring them, obviously, to a party. Another way you can host is you can have several of the dips and invite your guests to come up with their own concoctions with the dippers and put plates together for themselves to enjoy. Because you may have someone who just loves olives and someone else who loves peppers or the pumpkin seeds. That will be a great topping for the Southwestern. But if you let them decide how they want to create their own plates and their own little appetizers, then it's an activity as well as honoring their preferences, way to honor their preferences, because we want to support people in exploring this way of eating on their own terms. Okay, so we've got these are the shallots. Okay, so I'm gonna put these dips here, and then I'm gonna bring out the dippers. Oh, I'm excited to show you. And I have one that I'm gonna talk about. Actually, I have several that I'm going to talk about. Okay, yay. Now, look at this. I don't know how much you can see here, but I'm gonna go through everything that I have set up. But before I do that, I wanna talk about two different dippers that are included here, and then I'll go through everything. So broccoli. I used to buy broccoli crowns because I didn't want to waste money on the stem, or I just buy it chopped. Now I look for the longest stems possible. And that's because I have found a way to enjoy that. So the little piece on the bottom, I put into my garbage, and then I hold it upside down and cut off the florets. That's how we can pull the florets off. Okay, and I'm just, for time, just gonna pull those all off together in one. Now we have this stem. So the top part is gonna be very tender. I have a little leaf on there. This is now a broccoli chip. Here's another broccoli chip. And the same thing works with cauliflower. I go crazy for these. So I have them here. I have some broccoli chips already, but if you get to a part that's a little more fibrous, you can just cut that off just a little bit, and then you have a beautiful stem that can turn into delectable chips. I look forward to enjoying those all week. So I have several that I can make there. And then the other that you may not be as familiar with is daikon radish. So this I found at the Asian store, and I slice it into beautiful pieces. That's one of the dippers. And those they're a little hot, a little bit. They have the radish taste to them. They're really good. Okay, I want to share what I have here, and I'm going to end with something that may be a little different. Well, all these may be a little different for you, but I have the daikon. I have the baby bell pepper scoops. I have zucchini that I cut into planks. I have beautiful purple carrots and orange carrots that I cut into planks, some nice large ones. One of my very favorite dippers on the planet, purple cabbage, cut into chip size. They just have this little bit of sweetness. So good. Cauliflower florets, broccoli florets, and Chef AJ, look at this. I was gonna grab the whole thing, but look at these baby bok choy. They are so cute. And here is
those are precious.
Aren't they? I got so excited when I saw them in the Asian store. I was I was so excited. So baby bok choy, and this is baby bok choy, but Shanghai variety. So these make amazing dippers. And I'll show you something else fun to do with them. Okay, so that's this plate. Then we have this plate here. So we have fennel, and fennel is so tasty. It's crispy like celery, and I left some celery whole so that you could put the dip in the center. But same thing with the fennel. You can actually cut it in half, and there's a little riverbed there that you can add the dip to. But fennel has the crisp crunch of celery, but it tastes a little bit like licorice. My grandparents, we used to eat it with our meals, actually after our meals, and we called it finocchio. It was so delicious. And then I have, of course, potatoes and purple potatoes. These are I boiled the potatoes, and they're a great alternative to deviled eggs. You can pipe in one of these dips with a pastry bag or just a zip top bag, cutting the bottom corner and squeeze that right in on top of the potato, and then garnish with a little smoked paprika and parsley. I have the broccoli chips, cucumber rounds, the regular red radishes cut into planks, again, perfect chip size, and jicama. And the jicama chips that I make in the Foodie Bar Way in that book, my book, has lemon, marinated with lemon, so you can check that out. I also have some red potatoes and the Yukon Gold. Those. Then we have greens. So more of the baby bok choy. And what's fun with some of these leaves, these Shanghai bok choy, is that you can scoop and then wrap the leaf around it and have a little bite, a little roll. I found these little baby mustard greens. They are excellent scoops as well. I'd probably scoop it this way. Excellent little scoops.
Do you ever use endive?
I have not. No, that's a good idea too. The Napa cabbage makes for a great wrap as well. And you can do lacinato kale, lots of different options. And then lastly, something that you may not expect is some cooked dippers. And these include, I know one of your favorites, Chef AJ, is kabocha squash. So this is the Japanese kabocha squash. And I thought these were so cute as little wedges to pipe in some of the dip. You can also cut the top and bottom off and chop those up for your lunch salad. I always use some kind of cooked squash on my salads, my crazy salad. But then you have a very accessible little boat that you can fill with one of the dips or just use straight up as a dip. I also have the same with butternut squash and some butternut squash planks that I made, and some, this used to be purple, but Japanese eggplant that I just cooked in the air fryer. It shrivels, but that would be wonderful to have some dip piped into. What do you think?
I think it's amazing. I wish you'd come over and make this spread for me.
Look how fun it would be to invite your guests to load up their plate and try different combinations of dippers with the dips and the toppings. I have some black cumin and Nigella sativa to sprinkle on top, the scallions, the tomatoes, some more roasted pepper. We have some pepitas, wonderful for the pumpkin seeds for the Southwestern. It's just fun, and it doesn't have to be stressful. All of this can be made in advance. Everything can be made in advance. Could you imagine showing up at a party with this spread? So much better than a veggie tray from a supermarket, right? With some who knows how old ranch, which who knows what's in there, and some dried out carrots.
Wow. You make it look so easy and so delicious.
It is easy. Does anybody have any questions?
Yeah. What tools do you use to make planks? Just a knife? Asks
Just
Cindy.
a knife. Just a knife. You can use a mandolin depending on the thickness that you're looking for, but everything I did today was just with a knife.
Cool. And here's a question. I'm curious, says Anne, have you ever used broccoli leaves or Brussels sprout leaves as a wrap?
Oh, broccoli leaves are excellent. Again, a lot of people throw away the really excellent edible parts of some of these vegetables. And if you've ever grown broccoli or cauliflower, you realize that it's all about the leaves because there's hardly any broccoli and cauliflower when you think about the amount of leaves. When we grew them, it was like, is there broccoli in there? But the leaves are going crazy. So yes, broccoli leaves are harder to find at the grocery store unless you just get a little stray leaf like I did, but they don't sell them. I'm starting to see sweet potato leaves though, especially at the Asian markets. But as far as cauliflower leaves, yes, I always use all the cauliflower leaves. And I just yesterday made a stir fry with it, without oil, of course, but I love eating all of the parts of the vegetable. So yes, and Brussels, depending on the size, they could be really good dippers. That could definitely be something else that you could offer, especially if you had a couple of the leaves where it was a little sturdier. You could use those for leaves. I would say they're more dippers than wraps, though.
Yeah, nice. Well, people are loving this. They're saying such nice things. I love her enthusiasm, great ideas for making eating veggies fun. Janice says, what a gorgeous spread. She's the best. I love her membership group. And Colleen says, I wonder what she did with all her books. Remember, she had tons of them on her upper shelves.
They are all over there. So different kitchen configuration. So I don't have any up here, but I have them all on a big bookshelf. It's a 5x5 bookshelf, and that's where they all went.
Apple says, I'm always impressed with how tidy her kitchen remains after all her prepping. And Gina says, please tell her how beautiful her spread is.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah.
We did a cooking demo in November and in the Foodie Bar Way of Life. And it's so important to remember to keep things simple, that it doesn't have to be, I mean, I think this is pretty fancy, but simple and fancy can be can cohabitate. We don't have to have this complex. These are very basic ingredients. And one thing too that I don't want you to feel when you see all of these options, you don't have to have all of these options. The idea is they are options. So this is important to think about. Maybe one time you'll do 3 of these, and then another time you do 3 different ones, and then you just do 1 dip, or sometimes you'll do 2 dips. It's so fun just to be able to not choose overwhelm, just choose, what do I have right now on hand? What's easiest to get? And what will I enjoy? But maybe also, what will I where's a little bit outside my comfort zone? If you've never used daikon radish, but you like radishes, maybe that's something that you try. Or if you've been using squash, but only in soups, maybe that's something that you try. So just expanding a little bit can go a long way as far as helping our confidence and also keeping things interesting, because we love to get all the nutrients, but we also want to keep our mind interested and engaged in this way of eating, which is it is impossible not to be engaged when you think about all the options. Any last questions?
Yep. Kathy wants to know, what do mustard greens taste like?
Ooh, they taste, depending on how mature they are, they definitely have a mustardiness to them if you love mustard, but it's not, in my opinion, it's not in your face mustard. And when you steam them, they seem to get even a little more mild, but they're not, I was really bracing myself. I used them on a California Bountiful segment several years ago. We got them at the farmer's market, and then I was using them. And I was really bracing myself for when I was testing recipes, but oh my gosh, they're amazing. Now I get them every single time I go to the Asian market. And it's fun to have a variety because some of the greens like Napa cabbage and the bok choy, very mild. So even though the mustard greens are also mild, that combination is really nice to have together. But I like adding mustard to dressings and different recipes. I like to add a little bit of powdered mustard on the top of different vegetables. So including some mustard greens also brings that flavor in there, just kind of in the background.
Oh, perfect. And I want to read a nice comment from Sherry. Nice to see you, Sherry. Hope you and Paul are doing well. She says, I have the Foodie Bar book. I really like it. It definitely has me think more creatively. And Karen said, what is the difference nutritionally between sprouts and microgreens? Are they the same?
Interesting question. I am, now I can't think of his name. What is his name? The sprout guy.
Doug Evans?
Doug Evans, the sprout guy. He wrote the sprout book. And we see both microgreens and sprouts really popping up all over. As far as nutrition wise, I haven't seen any research plotting one against the other, but they're both very immature greens, which gives them most nutrients. So the reason why I don't use microgreens is because I don't want to deal with dirt or with a medium. They will use the coconut core as a medium, or there's other different applications, but I don't want to deal with any of that. So I like to just do sprouts in the jars in water, and it's quicker. Microgreens are typically a few weeks it could be 7 days and beyond in order to get them big enough. But as far as nutrients wise, I wouldn't worry. You're going to get so much in both, whichever you prefer. But if you have been buying microgreens and not sprouting on your own, then I would recommend start sprouting on your own. You will be very, very excited to see how quickly. And one that we've done a lot of lately is fenugreek, and it sprouts so quickly and is amazing. So that might be a tip for you to start that, because it's very easy.
Oh, fenugreek. I don't think I've had that. And there's a question from Melanie. If you can please repeat the model number of your food processor again.
70740.
Perfect. Well, this has been so much fun.
Yes. And I want to come back because I have something in the works that I cannot tell you about it right now, but it's going to be something very fun. So I'm going to have to be emailing you, Chef AJ.
Right. Well, thank you. And what are your plans for the holidays? And what did you do for Thanksgiving?
We had a very quiet Thanksgiving here. Everybody family-wise is across the country. But we had delightful meal. My husband was working in the evening, so we ended up having an early kind of lunch, brunch-ish Thanksgiving. And it was actually pretty relaxing because I had to do the cook. I chose to do the cooking the day before, since I knew I was going to be tight in the morning. So then after, when he went to work, we all just relaxed a little bit. I made some oatmeal chocolate chip cookies out of the Foodie Bar Way with my son's girlfriend, and it was pretty relaxing. I enjoyed it.
Great. And anything special for Christmas you're going to make?
I haven't even gotten there. I have been we're doing a special cooking demo in the Foodie Bar Way of Life next weekend. We're doing a tamale foodie bar. So that might end up being what we do for Christmas, but we typically do a lasagna in my family, being Italian. So I may do lasagna, or tamales might just be the option this year.
That's what they do at True North at Christmas is tamales. That sounds great. Here's a question from Jordan. Can you please share what you like to do for exercise? You're so toned.
Oh, I always get this question, So I am a very consistent exerciser in that I don't obsess about it, but I'm devoted every day to finding ways to move my body. And so I like walks. I wear a weighted vest just to help with bone density because I'm a little person. And I like running. I always do some kind of strength training a few times a week, but it's nothing crazy. I use dumbbells and I use body weight. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of the bands to do different things, but I'm typically doing things on YouTube just because I got out of the habit when all the gyms shut down. I used to go with a friend to the gym and use the Nautilus equipment and things like that. But when the gyms shut down, I started to use the dumbbells that we'd had forever that no one used. And now it's just so easy to think about going in the room, grabbing those dumbbells, putting on a YouTube video. So I try to do that definitely twice a week, usually 3 times a week. And at lunch now I work as a senior public health nutrition consultant through the state of Florida. And so I have an office job. So at lunch, I pop out the door and I move my body. So I am jogging or walking, and it just feels so good because it's inside jobs. You need fresh air and you need to be moving and getting that circulation going. So it's just consistency. Yeah, that's what I do.
Well, it looks great, whatever you're doing. Thank you so much for this wonderful presentation. I wish you and your family the happiest of holidays.
Thank you, and love to everybody. If anybody has questions, you can go to thenutritionprofessor.com and you'll find a way to contact me and learn about what I have going on because we always have fun in the kitchen.
Great. Thanks, Timaree. And thanks all of you for watching another episode of Chef AJ Live. Please come back 1 hour earlier tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific time for monthly McDougall Monday. Dr. McDougall is going to be talking about local